بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون صدق الله العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من صام رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم علمني ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll start with some basic introduction and a reminder to all of us. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this opportunity to revive our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Ramadan, as we know, is a month that we should get back to the focus. It has been 11 months that we've been busy doing whatever we needed to do, and we have been using all our energies and efforts into acquiring whatever worldly aspirations we had, along with certain activities we were doing to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah ta'ala, but not that much focus though. So we tend to lose our focus whenever we are involved in too many worldly affairs, and it is quite natural. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped us through a monthly charging avenue or an occasion or a time period that we can all dedicate our life in order to get replenished, to get our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anew, get it completely refreshed. And that's obviously a very important aspect of our life, because if we keep forgetting our task, our objective, we won't be able to do whatever we're supposed to do. So Ramadan, as we know, so we have a look at the checklist. We also will try and see if we could do some memorization of the dua that one should try and learn in this month and practice, inshallah ta'ala. And there'll be a short quiz about Sahaba, because we normally have this monthly circle where we discuss Sahaba and their lives histories. So a very short quiz, inshallah ta'ala. And then some question and answer. So you could see the track, the path, a very clear path. We have got a very easy path which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid down for us to go back to the paradise we have been taken out from. Adam alayhi salam was taken out from this Jannah, which we all want to go back to. एक पीछे वाली पे जाएंगे, बिल्कुल चचा है खुदा की कसम, माशाल्लाह. Okay, so you can see the track. Yeah, that's the path, very straight path that we have to traverse. If we could see it clearly, there's no problem. But when you look at from the top, the path is clear, yet there will be time that we might not appreciate it because we are tunnel visioned. So perfect path, but get blurred when we are not careful, when our screen is not clean, front screen, our glasses are covered with dust. We won't be able to see this very straight, smooth path that is going all the way to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you look at that, here the path is as if we don't know where to go. You won't know where to go and how to travel that, how to cross. It looks completely different to what it was a minute ago, isn't it? In the previous slide, you could see the path very clearly from top, from even when you're walking, you could see it without any trouble. But when it's foggy, when it's full of mist, when it's completely covered with everything around it, the kohor we call in Urdu, when it's so foggy that you can't see anything, then one needs a special light. or needs to get that cleared off. And the reason for that bewilderment, the reason for being completely detached and not aware of the path is because we are not in connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala any longer, or we haven't got the correct connection or proper connection. This problem with signal. Signal is not that clean, it's not nice. It's just only one light turning on as opposed to all seven or whatever. So if the signal is not good, you can't see, you can't get any message. Even when you're playing, just stopped, keep trying, because there's a break in the signal. That signal needs to be properly made with the headquarter, wherever that is. And that for us is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to have our connection back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what tends to cause that signal to be blurred or weak or faint? The ignorance. Either ignoring it knowingly or forgetting about that. So alhamdulillah, we do not reject it. We are Muslims. We follow Allah's path. We want to follow the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for us, that is not the reason for us having disconnect. But our disconnect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is through our negligence. We sometimes become lazy. We sometimes think, you know what, should be all fine, leave it. Or sometimes ignoring it, and sometimes forgetting it. So we need to remind ourselves. So whenever we are involved in unnecessary things which would not benefit us, things which might cause Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be unhappy. So either the relationship gets severed because we displease Allah and Allah breaks that relationship with us, or we have done something too heinous that Allah doesn't like it and we are walking the completely different path. So we have to have that connection every so often rebuilt. So even if you find something very appealing, you need to have a look whether this is something that would keep me in contact with Allah or not. Whatever causes you to disconnect from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that needs to be revisited. We need to keep thinking, I know it's good, I know it's fantastic, I know I'd like it, but is it really something that would keep me in contact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I'm going to lose my connection. If I'm completely on my own without connection with the headquarter, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do you come out of that situation? You can never. You feel that you're in the right place. You keep walking in a different way, but you never would come back to the track. Musa alayhi salam, when he took the Israelites and from the clutches of Pharaoh, there was hundreds of thousands of them, they walked towards the Red Sea. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala parted the river for them, and they managed to come out the other side, and they were about to enter Palestine, Jerusalem. So that's what their destination was. But they became so weak and completely lazy. So they were in that city that they needed to enter. There were Amalekites, the Amalekah, the giant and big people. The Israelites got scared of them. They said, we're not going to fight. Musa, you go and your Lord go. They let you and your Lord fight, kill them all, and then we enter after that. And that was their audacity, that how rebellious they were. They rejected the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They rejected the path of Rasulullah, the Rasul of them. That was Musa alayhi salam for them. And yet they had this audacity to say, you and your Lord go. We are sitting here. We would enter the city after you have killed them. We don't want any promises or anything. You go and do. Asking Allah and Rasul Musa alayhi salam to do the job, we would not do anything. We would just come as a conqueror afterwards to enjoy. So Musa alayhi salam said, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I do not have control over these people. They're not listening to me. Forgive us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then punished them to keep staying in that bewilderment, in that forest, in that jungle for 40 years. They would go from one end to other end. They were not able to make it to the entry to the city. They kept losing the path for 40 years. So in the morning, they would get ready, all out, looking for the new place. When they think it's in this direction, it will be gone. They would never reach there. 40 years. So many children, everyone, almost everyone, including Musa alayhi salam, they all passed. they all died in that 40-year period, obviously. And there were people who were raised in that hardship within that desert that they were spending there 40 years in. So the kids who were born there and the very young kids who did not see any atrocities and, slavery that other adults were under in Egypt. So these children grow up to be strong, completely free-minded, sensible, and, determined, very much with zeal. So they did the hard work. Then they managed to kill the enemies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supported them under the leadership of Sayyidina Yusha bin Nun and others, so Dawud alayhi salam, and so they managed to control. And it took them 40 years. So they knew the direction, but they would never reach there. Why? Because this is what would happen. If you lose the path, if you lose the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you would never be able to. Even if you know the direction is fine, you could just walk in the same correct direction. Allah would change it. You wouldn't be able to get there. Because you have to have connection all the time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So 11 months, the connection is obviously very weak. We lose. This is the month where we need to get back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to revive our relationship. So Ramadan is that month. To get it charged, to get it kind of see the same individual, now he can see the path very clearly. Because he is now loaded with everything that he needs, loaded with taqwa. Allah says, get your provision for the travel. And what is that? Zadur-Rah. What is that Zadur-Rah? This for travel is at-taqwa. فَإِنَّ غَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. The best of the provision that you could have is taqwa. You load yourself with piety, you can traverse the path without any trouble. And that is why Ramadan is here, to equip us with all that beautiful attributes and benefits of taqwa, getting rid of all the ills of taqwa. I mean, the people have through taqwa, whatever is not needed in taqwa, okay? So it would resume our connection and we could see the path very clearly. So that is why in Ramadan, we are told by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to read these du'as frequently. This one particularly, he says, say, La ilaha illallah, astaghfirullah, as'aluka al-jannah, wa a'udhu bika minan nar. La ilaha illallah, astaghfirullah, as'aluka al-jannah, wa a'udhu bika minan nar. Memorize it. La ilaha illallah, astaghfirullah, أسألك الجنة وأعوذ بك من النار. لا إله إلا الله أستغفر الله أسألك الجنة وأعوذ بك من النار. لا إله إلا الله أستغفر الله أسألك الجنة وأعوذ بك من النار. That there's no deity except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I seek Allah, with you Allah, I seek your forgiveness. From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I seek my forgiveness. And I ask Jannah, and I seek refuge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from fire, hellfire. لا إله إلا الله أستغفر الله أسألك الجنة وأعوذ بك من النار. لا إله إلا الله أستغفر الله أسألك الجنة وأعوذ بك من النار. Even if you know it, just say it, so that you continue to reap the benefit and the reward of that. لا إله إلا الله أستغفر الله أسألك الجنة وأعوذ بك من النار. Easy, alhamdulillah, yeah? And there are a few other du'as, especially when you're opening your fast. So this dua everyone knows. Bismillahi wa ala barakatillah. How you start your fast? By saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim or Bismillahi wa ala barakatillah. That's easy. Bismillahi wa ala barakatillah. You know it, yeah? Say it. Bismillahi wa ala barakatillah. So in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and upon his blessing, I'm starting my, I'm breaking my fast. And then once you've eaten something, then make this dua. Allahumma laka sumtu wa ala rizqika aftartu. Everyone knows this one as well? Allahumma laka sumtu, say it. Wa ala rizqika aftartu. Allahumma laka sumtu wa ala rizqika aftartu. Allahumma laka sumtu wa ala rizqika aftartu. Allahumma laka sumtu wa ala rizqika aftartu. Oh Allah, for you I fasted, and upon your provision of food, I am breaking my fast. Okay? From your sustenance, I am breaking my fast. And this dua is the third one, which I don't know who knows. Who knows this? Raise your hand. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ. Say it. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ. So the third is quenched. وابتلت العروق, and the arteries have become moist and turgid. وثبت الأجر, and the ajr, the reward, is now ensured. إن شاء الله, by Allah's words. Okay, ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ. عمر loud. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. That is after you have drunk something, you have taken some liquids, okay? Because that's what quenches the thirst. So, Bismillah in the beginning, date, and then Allahumma laka sumtu wa ala rizqika aftartu. That makes much more sense to do in that order. Because the Sigha says that I have fasted and I have broken my fast, or I've just, ate something. So once you've eaten, not before, okay? And then once you've drunk something, then say, ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله تعالى. So this, all these three du'as, try to make it a practice, inshallah ta'ala, in your home this time. And a lot of good deeds that you could do. This just a quick checklist, inshallah ta'ala. Just read one after the other quickly and listen to it attentively. So you can go get a for suhoor, sahri. Very important to get the barakah. فَإِنَّ السُّحُورِ barakah. There is tasahharu, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. For the fasting for Ramadan, generally for fard fast, do your pre-dawn meal. Take your pre-dawn meal. Do the sahri, suhoor. Because it will give you barakah. Even little, whatever little. It doesn't have to be up to the end of time. Not very early, many hours before, but good 10-15 minutes before, finish it. Another problem is that people continue to eat just to the last second. And that's very risky. Don't do that, because it may cause trouble. It's about the time. So the minute you know the time is done, you should stop it straight away. It has to be before that. So ideally few minutes. The typical style of ulama, Ahlullah, the pious people, is 15-20 minutes before the end time, they stop eating anything, just to be on safe side. And if they needed anything, so then whatever is remained in the mouth, they just clean it, like through normal movement of the tongue and the saliva, digest it properly, and then they get ready for the Fajr. So that's the good way. At least few minutes, 2-3 minutes. Don't keep it to the last minute, because inadvertently you might cause your trouble with your fasting. Azkar, tasbihat, so morning azkar, evening azkar, the du'as are available on different books, so just collect that, have it with you. All the prayers on time, even when you're at school, the time is such that you can either take break, if there's a possibility, to go out, just to keep your wudu before you leave home, do your wudu and keep it. So when you come to the lunch break time, obviously, if you're fasting, then you're not going to have anything, but you can just go and pray. And don't just do fard. Don't run here and there. Fard, sunnah, everything, as much as you could do. Okay. If you go to listen little time and in between lessons, that's fine. But not because I need to go and play with my friend. That's why I'm doing only my fard and not sunnah. That's not the idea, because the reward of sunnah is that of fard in Ramadan. The reward of fard is 70 times over. So you shouldn't be missing. And I mentioned it before. So what is the reward of one prayer that you've done? So you missed that, problem. If you did that with jama'ah, so the reward is every good deed you do, you get the times 10 reward. So one dhuhr prayer in the school you did, 10 reward. Now you did with jama'ah, And in Ramadan, 70 times. And then with Jama'ah, 25 times. If you did in Masjid with more preparation and miswak and everything, 27 times. So that becomes 18,900 reward for one prayer. 18,900 points to your account without any trouble, for free. Easy, isn't it? So try that one. Try all the sunnah mu'akkada, 12 in a day. So 17 fard in the day, 3 witr in the day, so 20 plus 12 rakat, which are sunnah mu'akkada. We should be trying our best to do that. And then for men, if they're working and they can't make it to the masjid, if they're in school and they can't make it to the masjid, at least one prayer, other than your Isha Tarawih, obviously, one prayer in the masjid, ideally. But that was for, more generous advice for people all around the world. But we should try all 5 prayers. Especially if you're working from home, you must be able to take time off. And that's 10 minutes or whatever, at least just for fun, and come back to do your sunnah afterwards. So try to pray all prayers with jama'ah, ideally in the masjid. Otherwise, inshallah ta'ala, whatever you could do. And when you miss your jama'ah, and when you have to do at home, jama'ah with someone in the family, remember it's wajib in Hanafi fiqh to pray for men, to pray in jama'ah. So ask your wife, request her very, earnestly, humbly. Some children in the family, get someone to be with you in jama'ah. So make sure that you do pray with jama'ah. And whenever you miss your masjid jama'ah, compensate that by doing some extra good deed. One added something above and beyond what you normally do in a day, so that your nafs doesn't get swollen up, thinking, it's a good idea. Let's just try this. Make excuses here and there. The problem is you have to put your grip on your nafs. टेटवा दबा के रखना पड़ता है, हर वक्त काबू में रखना पड़ता है नफ्स का टेटवा. पाँव हमेशा घुटना जो है, और या तो घुटना रखे नफ्स के गर्दन पे, या अपना बड़ा अंगूठा, वरना वो हिलने नहीं देता, इधर बदमाशी करवाता है बार. Read one ayat of Quran with tafsir if possible. 1 juz a day minimum for everyone in Ramadan. It should be even more if possible for those who could do better. And one sunnah, practice something new every day and keep adding it. So which means in Ramadan, you should have 30 extra sunnahs added in your life. So you were not doing it, now you do it. Miswak, for example. You were not doing these dua before and after food, add that. You were not sleeping the sunnah way. You were not keeping in the state of wudu. You were not covering your head. You were not covering your body with the proper clothing. You were rather jumping up and down in some, loose pajamas or whatever. Try to keep yourself more in keeping the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's so many sunnah, entering the house, coming out of the house, toilet, all those dua. One sunnah, and then make it a point and keep it. So on last day of Ramadan, you could say that I have got in my life 30 new sunnahs in this Ramadan. So there are books with a small book I will share with you all as a PDF. It has got 1,000 sunnah of a day. And I actually did that, a presentation of that some years ago. Just have a look at that and say, I've got this, tick, 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 tick. These I don't have. Put them aside according to your level. So these are the ones that I can inculcate or incorporate in my life. So having one every day, so you come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, come close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, following his sunnah. Allah would start loving you, because Allah says in Quran, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell them if they want to love Allah, let them follow you, your sunnah, your way. Then I would start loving them. In kuntum tuhibbun Allah fattabi'uni yuhibbukum Allah wa yaghfir lakum dhunubakum, and forgive their sin as well. So nothing better than that, especially in Ramadan. And remember, the sawab of sunnah is that of fard, as if you have done a fard. So 30 extra faraid which you can't do. The reward of that, of a fard action in Ramadan. Okay. Do something every day, one thing at least, if not more, to please your parents so they feel happy about you. Do something. Could be head massage, could be leg massage, could be changing your, help them take their shoes off, give them slippers when they're going out. Quickly go. Don't rush. Just quickly go, and while you're going with your mom and dad to shopping or work, just put their shoes in front of them so that they feel, mashallah, you've done something. Help them clean the plate, put something on the table, or whatever little you could do. Help them in a way that they feel happy that you have done something out of love, care, and compassion. Looking at your parents with a smile, you get the sadaqah, reward of sadaqah, as if you've done charity in the way of Allah, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not argue or backbite with anyone. Ramadan is not the time. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever argues with you, you just say, sorry, I'm fasting. No matter what. Don't argue back with anyone. Shouldn't be doing it, but even more so in Ramadan. 300 times salutations. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, here and there. Not talking about prayer. Don't count prayers. Okay. Other than that, could be any time of the day, walking, sitting, whichever way. You don't have to have wudu for that. Ideally, you should keep wudu throughout the month. But inshallah ta'ala. 100 istighfar. What is special deed that is secret between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So daily, you can have one good deed. What did I do today? It's just between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some sort of charity, some sort of extra learning, extra nafil, extra something that is very special with you. Talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, that's an easy thing. Just do one-to-one talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day. What did you talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about today? You don't have to tell anyone. So you're concerned about, say, your exam, or someone is teasing you and you're unhappy with that. You've got some feeling that is not getting, calmed down. So you're irritated, you've got some, whatever. Keep thinking about that and talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about that. That's your secret conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Evening azkar. So you've done all of that by Maghrib, hopefully. So evening azkar after Asr, you do your evening azkar after Asr or after Maghrib, whenever you get time. Taraweeh prayer, witr prayer with Jama'ah. And before you go to bed, read these 2 ayat of Surah Baqarah, 4 quls before going to sleep, Surah Mulk, Surah Sajda, other surah that we know, Surah Waqia if possible. And before you go to bed, think about, if I die now, what state am I in? If tonight I am dead, I don't wake up in the morning. We just heard about 1 year senior to us, only 1 year senior in Dow Medical College. Just got a message this afternoon that he was found dead in his apartment in Maryland, America. He was doing the medical, whatever practice he was doing. So I know him from my medical days. He was 1 year senior to us. He passed away. Just found dead. So must be 452. So I'm 51, so he must be 52. And I'm coming to 52, so he might be 53, depending on whatever. So not very old. Just found dead. They will investigate it. So yeah, that if I die tonight, you just think now, if you die tonight, do you think you're ready to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment? If not, then say astaghfirullah before going to. The minute you think about it, astaghfirullah rabbi min kulli dhanbi wa atubu ilayh, and then peacefully sleep. And if you're dead, inshallah, that's straight to Jannah, because you've already taken your stock, assessed it, apologized to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mended everything that you could do, and leave it to Allah, inshallah ta'ala. And then tahajjud prayer. So relatively easier in Ramadan, because you have to wake up for your sahari anyway. So spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2-3 minutes worth of wudu, few minutes worth of, don't do very long, few minutes. If you could do a little bit longer, why not? While the food has been prepared, suhoor has been prepared, just get ready for that. Rather than last minute, keep pushing and pulling and literally dragging you into kitchen and you just have quickly and go back to bed. That's not how it should be. Which means that we do not value any of that. We just do it, get it out of the way. And then go to bed in the state of wudu. You've just done your taraweeh, so just go straight to sleep. Inshallah ta'ala, you are in the state of wudu anyway. Okay. Don't have any ill feeling. If you had during the day, you didn't like someone teased you, someone annoyed you, someone misappropriated you, someone tortured you, whatever people did to you, forgive them all before you go to bed. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I forgive them all. So that on the day of judgment, I can say, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I forgive that many people. Every night I forgive everyone only to please you. Now you forgive me as well in return. Allah will forgive you because you have done a good job. So I'm going to forgive you for that. So forgive everyone and anyone. Don't keep grudge against anyone. The one whose heart is as clean as that, and they do not keep any grudge for personal reason from anyone, then they on the day of judgment will be very easily, smoothly flying to Jannah without trouble. So that's normal. Yeah, but there could be many more things you can add. But on a Friday, for example, you start Surah Kahf, recite whole of Surah Kahf. If you were doing only 10 ayat up till now, then in Ramadan, spend more time in Ramadan. Extra 500 salutations. So like extra being 300 every day, we'll make it 500 on Friday. So it is a little bit more. If you could do more, why not? As much as possible. Obviously, do your sunnah way of cleaning yourself. At least clip your nails every Friday. And on a weekly basis, try to do a quarter of a page only. That's not a lot, not a big ask. Saturday, Sunday, a quarter of a page. So it would be half a page. In Ramadan, you would have done 2 pages. That's the minimum everyone can do. If you can't do 1 ayat a day, okay. Doing that much is not a big deal. One can try that. Spend some time. Maybe during the weekdays you are going to madrasa. But what about the weekend? You're not doing anything. So spend some time in Quran. Memorize it. For adults as well. Don't get stuck at whatever you've learned before. Add something new to it. Keep adding things. Keep adding things. One hadith, one dua. The many dua books, Hazrat book, keep that in mind. Just keep reading it and then memorize one dua. Very small, short one. Allahumma waqiyatan ka waqiyatil walid. Easy, done, sorted. Not a big deal. Next day, another one. So it will just build your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with those du'as that you've just memorized or learned. So feed people every so often. Ideally, give food in the masjid for iftar. Select 1 or 2 masajid where you send some food every so often. But don't send dates, by the way. Every masjid got loads of dates. So everyone just think that let them give dates so that they can start. Give them something that they can benefit from. What's the point of giving dates? Every masjid, they have announced already this on this Friday. I was doing it to Kensington Gardens, so someone came from the committee and he announced that, please, brothers, don't give any water bottle and dates. We've got plenty, give it to other masajid. I mean, they already had like loads for a whole month. What's the point? It's just that we don't think, we just do without thinking, without taking any advice from people. We think, oh, people will start and break their fast, so they would get the reward. Mm-hmm. You don't force people to keep having dates only to have the day. It would be wasted, to be honest. Why do you think that people prioritize your dates over someone else's dates are sitting there? How would they know which one to prioritize? They would just take. So if your intention is pure and you really want to get people tummy full, it doesn't have to be the first date that the person would get reward. Whatever fill them, whatever is your intention. If your intention is pure, you want to help someone with something, they would get the reward. You would get the reward. They would get the food, inshallah. So whatever you could, but be sensible about whatever action we do. Ideally, some text needs to be read every day. Ideally, you should be reading something. If you don't have this habit of reading book, a good Islamic book, on any subject of your like, Islamic book, you read whatever else you read, but as long as that is a Sharia boundary. But Islamic books, people should be in habit of reading it. Remember, without being friend with books, you cannot traverse this journey. Reading a book is part of our life. This ummah is raised on ilm. If you haven't got the habit, you have to build that habit. It was very easily built. You just do half a page, whatever little you could do, just make a habit that I have to do it. The more struggle you have, the more you continue until it becomes easy and fluid. So easiest way is to do on Sirah. Read on Sirah. Simple Sirah book. You would enjoy it. It's like a story time. Read it. Every day, maybe with the family. So take the book, get someone to read it from the family. Sirah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You get it in turn, and everyone just have a bit of read there, and then inshallah ta'ala. This should be our game. That we should, in our family, always read something together. A text of some sort. Okay. For adults, it's easy. We will do, inshallah ta'ala, some reading as we've been doing. Just join that. Join that, inshallah ta'ala. We'll be adding few things for the 3 days that we don't do, we would do, inshallah ta'ala, as well. So something there as well. So there'll be good half an hour that you could just spend with us. We'll keep it for after Asr only for half an hour. So far, this is the idea. Because when is Maghrib? About 6 o'clock, isn't it? Will be about roughly 6 o'clock. So if we did quarter past, maybe people will finish their work by 5, you think? वो भी डिस्कस कर लेते हैं उसको रफली टाइम असल में ये मगरिब के बाद तो करना बहुत मुश्किल होगा मगरिब के बाद तो तरावी की टेंशन होती है 2 घंटे ये भी सही बात है हाँ ये भी है कि जो लोग घर पे होते हैं चलिए इसको देख लेते हैं इसको पूछते हैं हाँ ये भी बेटर विल सी इफ पॉसिबल ठीक है ना ओके so one challenge that we announce as well for you, all of you so you would have a challenge which is that you get a sheet आपके पास है वो sheet उसको print out करवा दीजिए तो email कर देंगे तो that you can use your own sheets and then print your own sheet maybe and then do it so whoever gets the most point will get a special prize this so this special thing so boys and girls both will be divided into 5 to 7 or even younger to 7 7 to 10 11 to 15 and 16 to 20 so we have that group और बुड्ढों के लिए भी हो सकता है उनके ऊपर वाले भी कर सकते हैं सब करें after so you would have like a prize for that a good one inshallah ta'ala so make sure that you fill that form regularly and bring it to us okay 5 quizzes quickly about Sahaba and then we're done 5 boys 1 2 3 4 5 क्या बात है 5 boys 5 quiz क्या बात है 5 ही है ना नहीं 6 वो भी हाइड कर रहा है ठीक है so no problem anyone can raise hand and a young muazzin of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Makkah was a Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Makkah they duplicated sorry had black hairs lock which was touched by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when the rest grayed he became old so what happened Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw him he was a non-Muslim obviously Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked the companion to call out adhan after Fateh Makkah. There was some non-Muslim boys playing outside. One of them, this one, started copying. This muazzin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bilal radhiyallahu anhu, started copying in the same way. Beautiful voice, but copying. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called him, so he ran away, thinking that I made a mistake. He said, no, please do come. So he came. Oh, he's calling you, don't you worry. So he came. Call out the adhan the way you did. So he started calling out adhan, Allah. When it came to, because he wasn't a believer, because they believe in Allah, obviously, but it was for Ashhadu Anna Muhammad, he stayed quiet. Ashhadu Anna, he wasn't saying it very quietly. Rasulullah just said loudly. So he was like, okay, and then he looked around and he said it loudly. And he said, and you mean it? Yes, I do mean it. Rasulullah put his blessed head on his head, hands on his head. So he became muazzin of Rasulullah. It just was so beautiful with his voice that he became the muazzin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you know what? So the part of the head that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam touched remained black. All the rest got grayed and white. It didn't get old. So that was a barakah. So what was his name? Don't ask me. I'm asking you. What was his name? A difficult one, isn't it? Say again? It was just no, not in that sense, copying him, not as in making fun, but like copying it. Some people do, isn't it? Not in a negative way. Kids do sometimes those sort of activity. Abu Mahdura was his name. Abu Mahdura. Okay, Abu Mahdura. Remember that. That should have been the last one because it's difficult, but others are easy. You know this one. A young companion from Medina who learned Hebrew and became a scribe of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nope. That's Sabit, yes. Zayd ibn Sabit, mashallah. We discussed this one. The Prophet made 3 du'as for this young companion from Medina as he served him for 10 years. Easy. Yes, was that? Anas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Anas bin Malik radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Remember that. बड़ों को नहीं आ रहा समझ में जा रहा है This companion from Makkah got the certificate of entering Jannah without reckoning, no question asked to him, due to his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like birds among the 70,000 from his ummah, from sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from this ummah. Who was that companion that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 70,000 of my ummah would go to Jannah without any question. Those are the people who would trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as birds do. They leave the house empty stomach and they come home with full belly. They are not bothered about that. I mean, this is another narration. But here he said, those who have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So who was that companion? He said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, can you make me dua for me? Yeah. So he said, okay, you are among those. A few minutes later, another one said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, can you? Oh, it's too late. You too late. You're thinking too much. And this companion, then what happened in the Battle of Badr? In the Battle of Badr, actually, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him. So he came and he said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I haven't got anything to fight the enemies. They're attacking us. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him a branch of tree, date palm tree. He, without asking, are you joking, Ya Rasul? I'm fighting with enemies with this stick, and they've got swords. He took it, Jazakallah, straight into battlefield and he started. The Sahaba said, we saw him, he would hit anyone he would hit with that. He would cut better than this sword could do. It was very sharp. And he left it, he kept it with him. It's a very special one. It's called Aun. The sword was given the name Aun. Aun means help. This is a helpful thing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, special help. So his name is? Loud with it? Ukasha. Ukasha bin Mihsan radiallahu ta'ala. Ukasha bin Mihsan radiallahu ta'ala. Good. And finally, he was a young companion from Makkah who led the expedition against Byzantine at the age of 18, having Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Sayyid ibn Zayd, Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, Abu Ubaidah bin al-Jarrah, Qatada bin Nu'man, all under his command. He was only 18. Try that. Faisal, try karo yaar. तुक्का लगा दो. Young companion में से किसी का नाम बोल दो. No, he was older. Umar Pir Zada साहब, कोई नाम बता दो यार छोटे साहब का. Call any साहब. Start with Usama bin Zayd. ठीक है ना? Someone responded. Let's see who did. अच्छा कि my mouse is नहीं चल रहा. हाँ, वकार राजा, you're right, माशाल्लाह. उन्होंने वहाँ जवाब दिया, माशाल्लाह. Usama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu. Mashallah, amazing, isn't it? So they're special Sahaba. May Allah give us tawfiq. So the summary is that we have to work hard. Any question? If you have any question. ठीक है ना? जज़ाकल्लाह. अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू.